I am California of the past.
I am California of the past.
I
am California of the past.
Shelly Brill Silver, and as a native of San Bernardino, I would like to share my reflections on the origins and continuation of our 75-year-old family business. My parents arrived in San Bernardino around the beginning of the 1930s from Texas. My father came from Russian immigrant parents who had arrived in the early 1900s in Galveston, Texas, via the Gulf of Mexico. My paternal grandfather had been a longshoreman who, upon meeting my 18-year-old immigrant grandmother, became smitten with her beauty and gentle ways. They soon married and became parents of my father and later my aunt. Unfortunately, from the long, rigorous hours and constant exposure to the dock's dampness, my grandfather's health dictated the family move northwest to the drier climate of El Paso, Texas. Shortly after the move, my grandfather passed away, leaving the family to fend for themselves. My father and family lived in a house that was perfect for setting up a ground floor small neighborhood convenience store and lunch counter, sort of like the forerunner of the 7-Eleven is today. Although my grandmother never learned to read and write, she ran a successful one-person store and lunch counter that enabled the family to survive and thrive. Most of the customers were Spanish-speaking. My father and aunt became immersed in the language, which would prove to be invaluable later in life. My father met my mother through mutual friends, and they were soon married. My grandmother, aunt, and uncle had already relocated to Ontario, California, where they again opened up a neighborhood market which would later expand into one of the first supermarkets in the Southern California area. It was known as Southland Market on Euclid Avenue, and the building stands today. My father and mother explored the surrounding areas and decided on settling in San Bernardino. About this time, San Bernardino had become a huge railroad center. Many Mexicans were legally imported to work on the railroad. Because of the proximity to the rail yards, most settled in the downtown Mount Vernon area. When my father arrived in San Bernardino, he worked for the New York Life Insurance Company. However, he decided to pursue his dream of owning his own business. Armed with his excellent command of the Spanish language, he started a door-to-door business in the Hispanic community, selling everything from tires to appliances to clothing, and always shoes. His philosophy was, if one was treated with respect, the customers would return the respect. He began by asking his new customer base for $1 down and 25 cents per week. The newly arrived members of the Hispanic community had no established credit. However, they were honest and hardworking. The association between my father and his customers became more like family instead of just a customer-business relationship. Stores were related to me that not only did my father know the names of his customers, but their relatives and even their pets. Much later, a multi-generational elderly member of the Mount Vernon area community described my father as being known by one Spanish word, and the word was ángel. It translates to angel. Several years after the establishment of the door-to-door business, my father and mother opened their first actual store, which was located on Mount Vernon. My brother was born in 1937 to coincide with the opening of the new store. The business thrived, and it became obvious that a larger facility was needed. Around the late 1940s, the business was moved to what was then South Lacadena Drive in Colton and was expanded to include linoleum, large and small appliances, and always, of course, shoes. Then, in the early 1950s, the store was again moved and became a two-sided shoe and clothing store. This store thrived. However, my mother had become ill with cancer, and my parents felt it would be better if the store would be relocated close to the family home on 24th Street in San Bernardino. By this time, I was a student at San Bernardino High School, so the new store's proximity to our home would prove to be most convenient during this difficult time. The new store was to be solely a shoe store and was designed by the late and renowned decorator Ray Currier. Unfortunately, my mother passed away only a few months before the new store's opening. During this time, Highland Avenue was called Uptown, and Highland Avenue was the main route to the San Bernardino Mountains. Many fine businesses shared the area, and the stores became a shopping destination. Also, a block away from our shoe store was Haywood's Soda Counter, Custom Candy, and Hobby Shop. Mr. Haywood ran the store brilliantly and used to provide large metal milk containers of his signature fruit punch slushes for most of the local area's school parties. I believe those icy treats were the forerunners of today's ices or Slurpees. We old-timers can still remember Mr. Haywood's handmade ice cream and hot fudge and hot caramel ice cream toppings. During this time, my father had approached my husband and me with an offer to consider joining the family business. This was the late 60s, actually during the Vietnam conflict, and my husband was attending UCLA graduate school when he was called for the draft. He applied at the downtown San Bernardino Army Reserve headquarters, and 2 weeks before he was to be shipped out as an active Army inductee to attend basic training, he signed up as an Army reservist. His unit included our current city attorney, Mr. Jim Penman, and our current mayor, Patrick Morris. Since my husband and I would be relocating back to San Bernardino, my father offered my husband the opportunity to become a partner in the business. And although my husband's college degree was in political science with an emphasis on public administration, my husband agreed to give it a try. My father and my husband worked side by side for many years and had a wonderful relationship filled with mutual respect. By this time, West Highland Avenue was sadly experiencing decline, and an opportunity arose to relocate the business to the East Highland Avenue location in Flowerland Plaza. Brill's move coincided with the last few months of my father's life. Fortunately, he was able to visit the business and feel the pride of seeing the continuing success of his longtime endeavors. Brill Shoes has been in its current location for approximately 20 years and has evolved into a comprehensive Euro comfort shoe business with an emphasis on medical footwear. The business is currently a licensed medical facility footwear provider and employs an on-site orthotist, a fourth-generation shoemaker who custom makes orthotics individually designed for each customer's specific medical needs. Brill's currently has medical contracts with major HMOs to provide appropriate orthotics and corresponding footwear. Another note to be mentioned would be that Brill's Shoes has been providing dancewear for the community for many, many years and continues to do so today. San Bernardino has been my lifetime home and has enabled my family to prosper not only in business but with lifelong friendships as well. I can't imagine ever living anywhere else.